On 31st of May and June 1, 1921, Greenwood became the site of the bloodiest and largest massacres of non-military action in the history of America, when a white mob attacked the city's Black Wall Street, killing an estimated 300 Black Americans and robbing and burning more than 1,200 homes, businesses, and churches. Greenwood is a neighborhood in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was once a prosperous modern cultured Black community dubbed Negro Wall Street by Booker T. Washington during a visit to Tulsa. At its height, the Greenwood district boasted 15 grocery stores, 4 movie houses, 2 newspapers, 4 drug stores, a library, an ambulance service, funeral homes, a hospital, 4 chili parlors, nightclubs and 13 churches. The community was wealthy because money was circulated within the community and because they were dependent on one another as a result of the Jim Crow laws and segregated commerce. By 1921 there were over 11,000 residents operating a variety of successful businesses that were patronized by both white and Black Tulsans. It was a time when the entire state of Oklahoma had only 2 airports, yet 6 Blacks owned their own planes. Greenwood residents enjoyed many luxuries that their white neighbors did not, including indoor plumbing and a remarkable school system that superiorly educated Black children. Black Wall Street proved that Black people could create a successful infrastructure. The community flourished until June 1, 1921. On 30th of May, Dick Rowland, a Black man, was accused of assaulting Sarah Page, a young white woman in an elevator. An article appeared in the Tribune that implied rape. Rowland was arrested and taken to the courthouse the next morning. That afternoon, the front page story of the Tulsa Tribune read, "Nab Negro for attacking girl in elevator." According to W.D. Williams, an African-American resident of Tulsa and witness to the destruction of Greenwood, the Tribune carried an editorial entitled "To Lynch Negro Tonight." After the article appeared, a vigilante mob arrived at the courthouse to demand that police turn him over to the crowd. Around 75 of the men of Greenwood with World War I combat experience headed toward the courthouse to protect him if the police chose to release him to the mob. The riot began when a white man tried to wrestle a gun from one of the men of Greenwood and a shot was fired during the struggle. This was interpreted as a declaration of war. The immediate response from the mob was to open fire on the Blacks, who fired back whilst retreating. People began to scatter and the white mobs began to arm themselves and head for Greenwood. Local authorities did little to stop events. Instead, Tulsa police officers deputized former members of the lynch mob. Rumors of a Black uprising spread throughout white Tulsa and rumors of an invasion on Greenwood traveled to Black residents. Both Blacks and whites began arming themselves and the Greenwood district was surrounded by cars full of white men. National troops were called in and they, along with local police and white mobs, went into Greenwood to disarm and arrest any Black man with a weapon. Units of the National Guard spent most of the night protecting a white neighborhood from a feared, but non-existent, Black counterattack. The police joined the mobs in looting and burning property. Some Black residents shot at whites from inside buildings and were slowly pushed further and further into Greenwood as they defended property and then retreated. They were no match for the racist mob who even used planes to drop flammable liquid bombs from the air, thus ensuring total destruction. This was not a race riot as many claimed, it was a massacre. Black men who fought back to protect their families, homes and businesses were arrested and killed. They were outnumbered 10-1. The night's carnage left more than 300 Blacks dead, a lot of them were buried in mass graves all around the city. More than 9,000 were left homeless. Despite efforts by the white establishment to force the relocation of the Black community, within days of the riot, Black Tulsans had already begun the long and laborious process of rebuilding Greenwood. For nearly a century, the survivors have been denied a voice due to the fact that several generations of white supremacist Oklahoma governments worked continuously to hide the events from the country's historical memory. On May 20, 2021, 107-year-old Viola Fletcher, the oldest survivor of the racist attack, testified at a House Judiciary Committee hearing to mark the centennial of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. At the hearing, Viola said, "I am here seeking justice. I am here asking my country to acknowledge what happened in Tulsa in 1921.